A Spanish Civil War, 1936 to 1939, and its aftermath a brutal conflict between Republicans and nationalists led by Francisco Franco. Widespread violence, massacres, and destruction. Mass executions of political opponents, intellectuals, and civilians. Francoist dictatorship. The Spanish Civil War was a brutal conflict. Widespread violence, massacres, and destruction. Mass executions of political opponents, intellectuals, and civilians. Paul Logan, and after that, Franco's dictatorship continued the repression. Torture, imprisonment, executions of dissidents. Suppression of regional languages like Catalan, Basque, and Galician. Cairo, during the Civil War, there were massacres like Badarjos, where thousands of Republican prisoners were executed. Paracuelos massacres, suspected Republicans killed en masse. Paul Logan, the White Terror, targeting perceived enemies of the regime, was relentless. Cairo, and in the colonies, violence and repression in places like Western Sahara and Equatorial Guinea. Suppressing independence movements, exploiting local populations. Paul Logan, minorities faced discrimination, Basque, Catalan, Galician, persecuted, their cultures and languages suppressed. Cairo. Human rights violations, torture, forced labor, political imprisonment were widespread throughout the 20th century. Paul Logan, protest movements in the Basque Country, Catalonia, they faced brutal crackdowns. Cairo, even today, debates on how to handle Franco's legacy continue. Symbols from that era are still controversial. Paul Logan, right. The wounds of history are still visible in current political and social tensions. Cairo, now, looking at the present, organized crime and drug trafficking are major issues. Spain is a transit hub for cocaine and cannabis. Paul Logan, human trafficking and exploitation of vulnerable migrants are on the rise. Smugglers and criminal networks thrive. Cairo, cybercrime is booming, online scams, identity theft, financial fraud. Paul Logan, hate crimes, xenophobia, far-right extremism, they're increasing too. Violence based on race, religion, political beliefs. Cairo, corruption scandals, money laundering, these undermine trust in institutions. Paul Logan, environmental crimes, illegal logging, pollution, damage Spain's natural heritage. Cairo, so, what's the root of all these issues? Could it be linked to the past? Paul Logan, historical injustices, repression, suppression of identities, those legacies linger, fueling unrest and social divides. Cairo, we need to find a way to address both the historical wounds and current threats. Paul Logan, which is why we're here, accessing these lost archives to gather the truth, the lessons, the strategies. Cairo, our plan is to understand fully, then develop a comprehensive approach, truth, justice, social good, technology. Paul Logan, exactly. We'll recommend reforms, community programs, international cooperation, and modern cybersecurity measures. Cairo, and maybe a radical step, temporarily turning off the Wi-Fi infrastructure to disrupt the digital spread of hate, crime, and misinformation. Paul Logan, that could break the cycle, give us time to rebuild stronger, safer systems, access the archives for proven methods and lessons. Cairo, we'll use the past's lessons to shape a better future. To heal old wounds and stop new ones from forming. Paul Logan, it's a bold move, but sometimes radical measures are necessary to restore order and justice. Cairo, we've identified the problems, now we need solutions. First, we'll promote truth and reconciliation, acknowledging past atrocities like the massacres, repression, and the legacy of the Francoist era. Paul Logan, agreed. We should support memorials, historical education, and laws that recognize victims. That's the foundation for healing. Cairo, to combat current issues like organized crime and drug trafficking, will strengthen law enforcement, increase international cooperation, and leverage intelligence sharing. Paul Logan, yes, plus targeted operations against trafficking networks and financial investigations to dismantle their resources. Cairo, cybercrime is rising, so we'll deploy advanced cybersecurity measures, develop public digital literacy programs, and establish rapid response teams for cyber attacks. Paul Logan, will also monitor online hate speech and extremism, using AI to flag and neutralize threats before they escalate. Cairo, to reduce hate crimes and extremism, we need social programs fostering inclusion, education campaigns promoting tolerance, and community engagement initiatives. Paul Logan, law enforcement should be trained to handle hate crimes sensitively, and online platforms must be regulated to prevent the spread of dangerous ideologies. Cairo, corruption and political scandals require judicial reforms, transparency laws, and stronger oversight agencies. For London, whistleblower protections and international audits can help root out graft. Cairo, environmental crimes, illegal logging, pollution, must be addressed with stricter enforcement, better monitoring, and community-based conservation programs. Paul Logan, combining technology like satellite imagery with local activism will be key. Cairo, and for the root causes, we'll use data analytics and historical insights from the archives to predict threats and prevent crimes before they happen. Paul Logan, that's the comprehensive plan, using knowledge, technology, and social change to turn the tide. Cairo, but for a radical move, what if we temporarily shut down Wi-Fi networks? Disrupt the digital channels that spread extremism and crime? Paul Logan, a bold step. We'd need to coordinate with authorities, ensure safety, and have plans for restoring secure infrastructure. It could buy us time to rebuild stronger systems. Cairo, exactly. We'll use the archives to guide how to implement this safely, learn from past experiences, and develop protocols for rapid recovery. Paul Logan, it's a risky but potentially effective tactic to break the cycle and restore order. Promote truth and reconciliation for past atrocities. Strengthen law enforcement and international cooperation against organized crime and trafficking. Deploy technology and AI to fight cybercrime and extremism. Foster social cohesion and inclusion to reduce hate crimes. Implement judicial reforms to fight corruption. Use satellite imagery and data analytics for environmental monitoring. Consider radical digital shutdowns to disrupt criminal networks temporarily. Would you like me to reformat? The history here is staggering. During the Spanish Civil War, there was widespread violence, massacres, executions, destruction. The nationalists, led by Franco, carried out brutal repression. Paul Logan, yes, the White Terror, it targeted suspected Republicans, dissidents, and minorities, torture, mass executions, suppression of regional cultures like Basque, Catalan, and Galician. It was systematic. Cairo, and the Red Terror, it was the violence from the Republican side, attacks, executions, and repression of their enemies during the conflict. Both sides committed atrocities, but the White Terror was particularly brutal and state-sponsored. Paul Logan, the White Terror was about consolidating power, mass killings, suppression, erasing dissent. It's called a white because it's associated with fascist, nationalist forces, those fighting for the old, conservative order. Cairo, it's interesting. The Republicans in Spain seem so different from what I'd expect from the American version of their history. They seem more like the ideals of democracy, progress, social reform, yet they fought against an authoritarian uprising. Paul Logan, that's correct. They fought to defend the republic, democracy, and social reforms. But the nationalists, what you might think of as the conservative side, were led by Franco, aiming to restore hierarchy, suppress regional identities, and impose dictatorship. Cairo. So, in a way, the roles are reversed from the US Civil War. Here, the liberals and progressives are fighting a conservative, authoritarian force. Hi Logan, and the parallels continue, the ongoing struggle between those fighting for social justice and those clinging to old hierarchies. Cairo, the atrocities, the repression, the violence, those echoes are still present today. It's like history repeating itself, just in different forms. Hi Logan, exactly. The roots run deep. The suppression of minorities, the rise of extremism, the cycle of violence, it's all connected. Cairo, and what's more alarming is how much of this history is still present. Symbols, wounds, unresolved conflicts. Hi Logan, we need to understand these patterns. They can guide us in finding ways to break the cycle. Cairo, that's why we're here, accessing the lost archives, learning from past, and seeing how we can use that knowledge to shape a better future. Cairo, now, we've seen the damage, both past and present. What's the plan? How do we fix this? Hi Logan, first, we must promote truth and reconciliation, acknowledge past atrocities like massacres, repression, and the legacy of Franco's rule. Memorials, education, official recognition. Cairo, that'll help heal old wounds. But what about the current issues? Organized crime, cybercrimes, extremism. Hi Logan, we strengthen law enforcement, increase international cooperation, and use advanced intelligence tools, AI, data analytics, to dismantle trafficking networks. Cairo, cybercrime is rising fast. We need to deploy AI-driven cybersecurity, public awareness campaigns, and rapid response teams for online threats. Hi Logan, to fight hate crimes and extremism, we'll promote social programs, community dialogue, and online regulation to curb hate speech. Cairo, corruption scandals require judicial reforms, transparency laws, oversight agencies, whistleblower protections. Hi Logan, and the environment, illegal logging, pollution, must be addressed with satellite monitoring, stricter enforcement, and local engagement. Cairo, but what about the roots? How do we prevent this from occurring? Hi Logan, use the archives, historical lessons, and data analysis to predict threats and prevent crimes early. Education and social cohesion are key. Cairo, we could even consider radical measures. What if we temporarily turn off Wi-Fi networks? Disrupt the digital channels spreading extremism and crime? Hi Logan, that's risky but could buy us time. We'd need coordinated action, shutdowns with safeguards, then rebuild stronger, more secure systems. Cairo, exactly. We use the archives to learn how to implement this safely, lessons from past disruptions, protocols for rapid recovery. Hi Logan, the goal is to restore order, cut off the digital avenues fueling violence, and rebuild trust in technology and society. Cairo, it's bold, maybe even necessary, to break the cycle and give society a chance to heal. Cairo, the key is understanding the deep roots, history, repression, violence. If we can cut the digital channels fueling the current chaos, we can reset the system. Hi Logan, the archives show that disruptive interventions, if planned correctly, can be effective. We'll need precise execution, then a quick rebuild. Cairo, we'll coordinate with authorities, inform the public, and implement a controlled shutdown. It's a radical step, but sometimes radical is what's needed. Hi Logan, once the digital channels are cut, we focus on rebuilding trust, introduce secure, monitored networks, promote digital literacy, and address the underlying social issues. Cairo, we'll use the knowledge from the archives, lessons from history, and modern technology to craft a better, safer society, free from the cycles of violence and repression. Hi Logan, this is more than just fixing a system. It's about healing a society, learning from its past, and ensuring a more just future. Cairo, let's get to work. Access the archives, prepare the shutdown protocols, and then implement the plan. Hi Logan, agreed. The future depends on the choices we make today.